Oh, wait.
Point.
Did we not do it?
No, stop. Hold on. My thing is being weird.
Who invited this guy?
Me. I invited myself. It's being really weird. Like it says it was working fine, and then I like tried to talk. And are you working? Why are you not working? What is wrong with you?
Why aren't you working? What is wrong with you?
That's a good question, and several doctors have tried to figure out the answer. Hold on.
We got to start again?
Yeah, well, I got to try to figure out why this isn't, like, why my Audacity isn't recognizing.
For the record, we are already live. Not that to add any pressure onto you. There's
not my
nobody.
fault.
There's nobody here. I just wanted to let Brian know.
Why?
This is Han on the Millennium Falcon. It's not my fault.
It really is not my fault. Like, it's like, here's the microphone. Yeah.
They told me they fixed it.
They really
It's
did.
not my fault.
This one goes here, that one goes there.
Oh my god. And now I'm
You
being.
can let me know if somebody shows up, and I can go through my little figurines here and talk about them.
Why don't you just do it? Just go for it. Why not?
Hold on, I'm gonna reset Audacity and see if that fixes it.
All right.
Who's that?
An Assassin's Creed boy. I'm assuming it's Ezio.
It's that looks like old Ezio.
Like,
That looks
Says
like
the guy who has not even played the older Ezio game.
Yeah.
I'll probably talk about it once we're live, but I'm currently playing lots of Odyssey.
Oh my God,
I mean,
Harry's here.
I mean, we are live. We're just not recording on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, Audacity is working now. Can we sync up again? I'm so sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's working, and then I had to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
just go
I
ahead and
had
hit
to
record.
Delete
And then,
what I previously
and then
had.
we'll just do another sync.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, did you stop recording?
I completely
I
stopped
stopped.
recording.
Yeah, I completely stopped. So
Oh, do I need to
definitely did
stop?
not.
All
I
right, we'll
didn't
stop and then we'll.
All right, let's stop.
Harry,
Fine,
I'm
we'll
so
stop.
sorry for the unprofessionalism that's happening right now.
This is a professional podcast.
This is a professional
show.
podcast. I'm wearing
Hey,
a cardigan.
I will say, 4 out of 5 hosts were professional.
It's not my fault.
All right.
Do me like this. Come on now.
Okay, here we go. Record in 3, 2, 1, click. 1, 2, 3, 4,
4, 5,
6.
6. 6 numbers.
Okay, how are we looking now? Looking good?
The little bar moves up and down when I talk.
Oh, good.
Meet the ball.
Bangerang.
Oh man, the Italian Senate. Oh, here we go. Ooh,
Could be children listening to this
Italian
podcast.
there
Senate.
probably
They
are
don't know.
children listening, and you know what? They don't know a damn thing about the Senate.
Bro,
Yeah.
I know that Google.
I am the Senate.
It's Antifa, famously.
Okay, here we go. It's episode 216 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I am your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Joshua Mobley.
I'm a clean-shaven Chris Shriver.
Wow.
Well,
I guess I'm Rebecca June Lane.
Hi, I'm Will Berger.
this is what happens when I don't prep anybody before the
We
show.
didn't
You
discuss.
didn't prep anyone.
That's true. I didn't. That's because I was tardy to the party. Nobody else picked up the slack. I got to do everything except for all the streaming, which is I credit Chris with, and usually the editing, which goes to Josh. We spread the love around. We spread the work around.
These are things I cannot fix in post. So
And I was yes.
no.
We can't fix incompetence in post, unfortunately.
No.
But yeah, so this week we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about Windjammers 2. We're going to be talking about Nobody Saves the World. But I imagine we probably want to start with the enormous, ridiculous news that happened this week, which is something that happened, I think, Jesus Christ, Chris.
It was like last Thursday or last Friday or something.
Was it?
Maybe
I feel
Thursday.
Like it was, I feel like it was literally like the day after we recorded.
Oh, you're right.
It was
So,
Tuesday.
and Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it was literally right, like as we were editing the. Yeah, Josh, you didn't see. He's been Cookie Monstering up in
That's
this
fine.
piece, just loading up.
He's probably
I'm-
hungry.
I will say-
tough cookies.
I will say I'm really impressed with the way that you were able to like widen your face like a duck, like with one cookie in the far side of either cheek. Very bizarre.
Man, just
Kudos to
unhinged
you.
his jaw. Like,
Yeah, like the snack that he is.
Activision Blizzard.
Yep.
Yeah, Xbox and Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, which is, I mean, well, don't forget Activision Blizzard King, which is a huge part of this also, because King is like the biggest, or at least the most profitable, I think, mobile developer. I think by a significant margin, but I'm not actually sure about that. But they make Candy Crush and all that sort of stuff. This acquisition was, if I recall correctly, $68.7 billion.
It was something like that. Yeah.
Either that or like $67.8 billion.
Just shy of
just
70.
round it up and say 70.
Yeah,
that's what Microsoft is doing. They don't.
You know
care.
what? I'm gonna round it up and say 69.
69. Hello.
69.
Nice.
It's more nice
Nice.
that way. Yeah.
Also, if it wasn't 70, why wouldn't you say 69? That's such a better headline.
I gotta say, it was really bothering me all day that no one was saying 69. Everyone was saying 68.7. I'm like, what are we even doing?
You got to be, accurate about it.
Missed
But I
opportunity.
remember
If you're not like, you got to be really someone who has a bachelor's degree in journalism. You have to be incredibly accurate about everything because otherwise, what
Nothing
else is
happens.
inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
I remember the news broke early and no one else was awake except for me and Chris.
Yep.
It was just waiting for the West Coast news and the West Coast nerds to wake up and process it all again. It was this rolling tide of chaos.
I dropped the message within 30 seconds of it being announced from the Wall Street Journal. And then Brian saw it like an hour and a half later. He was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "What? Oh yeah, that happened."
I woke up to it and was like, holy hell, what?
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking.
Pretty
It's like a roller coaster of emotions, right? And for me, the first one was, is Bobby still there? Like, what does this mean about Bobby?
Yeah.
What does this mean about the unions?
Bobby.
The good thing about recording almost a full week after this happens is a lot of these details have actually shaken out. So we actually know way more than the initial reporting. Initial reporting was he's coming to, Bobby Kotick is coming to Microsoft as part of the deal, and he's going to be there through the transition. Then they stipulated, or then they kind of clarified that after the transition period is over, he is leaving. So effectively, he is not, his days leading Activision Blizzard King are over, effectively. Or at least
securing
they're at least
until
numbered.
the deal,
a ton of money.
which doesn't happen until next fiscal year.
Golden parachute.
I mean, people like him don't get anything except golden parachutes, and even if he didn't, he still has so much money that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
He literally brought, like, in his carry-on bag, he brought 5 golden parachutes that he wasn't even planning on using. So even if they didn't give him one, he'd have been fine.
Yeah.
There are a couple of interesting angles to look at this from. One is a lot of the like reflex reactions to this were, oh my God, it's a monopoly, which it's super not. So that was a lot of feedback.
They're getting big though. Like you can't really argue that. They're getting pretty big. I wouldn't say they're a monopoly now, but Microsoft was already huge, but now the gaming arm feels like so much more big just because of this.
Sure. But at the same time, like, they're still in third place, which is, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not a monopoly if you make a huge acquisition as the third place person. That's just
I think it also has to do with, we talked about Microsoft. This is just their gaming arm,
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is,
Which
makes
Microsoft almost no money.
And it doesn't exist globally. This is like really just an American thing that they're dealing with on that end, which of course is American antitrust laws that you would think would look into that, but can't really remember the last time that got in the way of a gaming acquisition.
Or any acquisition lately.
They don't even happen. They don't even happen in actual. They don't even happen in actual effective monopolies like Amazon.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time anybody tried to break up Amazon, a company that doesn't even pay taxes? Like, if they're not going to do that, like, there's no chance that anything is going to happen. And it looks like analysts are saying there's very little likelihood that anything is going to stop this. This is
The
going
gaming
to
sphere is so small in terms of like the American economy that I don't think it's going to raise the right people's eyebrows,
Yeah.
which is really what
Well,
it all comes down to.
And the one thing that a lot of I haven't heard many, if any, people talk about this, but like there's always this like in the back of I think everyone's mind, at least in the States, like there's this concern that Tencent is going to start continue to gobble up all these other companies. Tencent being a Chinese company. And I think a lot of the reason that they're allowed to get away with this is because they're like, oh, well, Microsoft's a global company, but they're primarily headquartered out of Redmond, Washington.
Yeah.
So, you know, them
them,
having
at
another
least they're
notch
safe
in their
from
belt.
Tencent.
Yeah, exactly. It saves them from getting acquired by some foreign entity.
Yeah.
I'm so curious as to how this remains secret, when this popped up, whether or not when they were like, all right, we're going to reevaluate our relationship, if that was because of Bobby and the unions and the issues that were arising, or they went in with the intention of potentially acquiring. I haven't heard much about that this weekend, if you guys have.
I mean, we knew that Microsoft was buying someone and that it was huge. Yeah. I didn't think it would be Activision huge. My guess was that it was Sega.
Yeah, a lot of people speculated
Sega was a good target, right? They have a lot of just dormant big IP that like gamers remember. They have
a good relationship with Microsoft's.
Yeah, they have
a really long time.
They have Atlas. They have like MMOs. They have a lot of things that Microsoft kind of would want, right? Mm-hmm. But I did not expect it to be.
Also, they publish one of the
Activision.
One of the highest regarded JRPGs now through Persona.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
the interesting thing is, I think Phil Spencer talked about it in an interview post this happening. He said that Activision actually approached them.
Yeah.
Really?
That's interesting.
That
was a while ago. It was a couple of years ago, I think.
No. It was more recent than that. I mean, I think they might have started.
2019 or something.
I think they might have started initially talking about it, but like once all the shit at Blizzard came out and all the shit at the other,
it probably wasn't even when it came out. I bet it was right before when they knew, because it's pretty clear that like a lot of the execs at Blizzard like knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
at some point, right?
California State had been investigating them for a couple of years before that even came out.
Yeah, and they probably knew about it, and they knew, a lot of people were getting out. I'm sure that played a factor. Like they knew that it was happening, and they're like, oh, like want to buy us, and I bet it led to the price being slightly lower too. Even though 68.3 billion is not anything to scratch at. Like that's like almost, what is it? It's like 20 times what they paid for Minecraft. Like,
which when you put it in those terms sounds right to me though. It's about at least 20 Minecrafts worth of IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
Minecraft
10 times
is
what
like,
they paid for
isn't it
Bethesda,
like
more or less.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, isn't Minecraft like the #1 top-selling video game of all time? Or like
it's up there.
It's like top three for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
And a thing that I think is really, really interesting is that right after the news was announced, PlayStation's stocks like plummeted, which I thought was really, really funny.
Yeah. Well, they're not making the same level of IP grab, right? Or they're not buying. They've purchased a couple of studios, like they bought Blue Point. I think they bought some other studio that worked on Avengers, I'm pretty sure.
The problem is they're buying studios that they already have relationships with. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just you're locking in that exclusivity. They're not they're not going to like a third party and being like,
sure.
Yeah.
And technically Microsoft had a relationship with Activision and Blizzard, right? But it's not something where they're like, hey, make us an exclusive game, right? It was they don't really do that second party stuff. Sony is just a lot more different about this kind of stuff.
I was gonna say, it's always so silly to me to compare these two. I know for the gamers you are looking at two different consoles, but everything behind those consoles in terms of these companies couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of philosophy and just
philosophy, financials, investments, resources.
That's the funniest thing that's come out of this is, all the Twitter talk post this has been like, Sony needs to acquire Capcom, Sony needs to acquire Square Enix, they need to do something. It's like, y'all, Microsoft and Sony do not compete.
No.
Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. Sony's net worth is a rounding error to them. This acquisition is a rounding error. They're not competing. Microsoft is competing with Google.
I mean, this represents, I believe, like roughly half of their war chest. So like of the
Microsoft's?
Which is ridiculous that they just had like $150 billion in the bank. And they're just like, you know what?
Have you ever seen the bill for Microsoft Azure for any company ever?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but
they'll recoup it.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, they'll make this back next year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're not worried about it.
Yeah. No, of course not.
That's another one of those things is like the companies that are able to throw this money around don't really worry about it because they will make that money back like so fast. Like Microsoft made the money back on Minecraft like probably within a year or two. Like that investment paid off so fast. And this one will probably take a lot longer to pay off, but it will pay off in a lot of different ways.
Real quick, I just want to mention the unions at real quick and see if you guys have any thoughts on that. I know today the Raven Software workers who had been on strike announced that they were ending their strike now that they've officially formed a union as an act of good faith, hoping that by doing this, by ending a work stoppage, Microsoft and Activision will take their union seriously. And of course, they released a statement saying that we respect the right of workers to form a union. How far that respect goes will remain to be seen. But I'm nervous.
My understanding is that they're in the kind of good faith, waiting to be recognized by the company at large. And then if that doesn't happen, then they, I guess, go back to it and push further and basically demand recognition.
It's so crazy, though, because, I mean, obviously they're not unrelated, all this unrest in these companies and the acquisition. They're very tied together. And it's just, I hope it doesn't get swept under the rug as everybody's trying to, hold on to their jobs or, people above them get replaced and the people that they've been gaining traction with get separated. And I don't know. I'm concerned, but, ultimately excited for these companies that have been, with a lot of talented people that have been turned into Call of Duty map makers. So on that end of it, from a creative, just based on their creativity, and their outlets for that, these artists and these workers, I'm excited for them on that point.
Yeah. And I do want to say one thing that and we can talk about the monopolization or exclusive or what this is like for the gamer and for your average consumer in a little bit. I definitely want to get to that, and I want to go relatively deep with that. But I also want to acknowledge, much like we've talked about Blizzard a lot in the past, as people for whom Blizzard games have, to varying degrees, spoken deeply. I was a World of Warcraft guy for a long time. I was a huge, we've played Overwatch together several times, like people in this group. Diablo is something that Josh and I have played for hundreds of hours. Like that game,
I would say thousands at some point.
Probably.
Like just across the entire IP, I'd say
probably.
Thousands.
And I know StarCraft is something for which both Will and myself have a great deal of affection.
I also
like
there's have a lot of nostalgia for StarCraft.
There's a lot of really great stuff there. And even when all of this stuff and this abuse came out, there was this push of like, we need to boycott, we need to step away from Blizzard games. And there are a lot of developers that worked really, really hard and put up with all of this abuse and still really love the games that they made. So it's not just a binary thing. There's a lot of complicated nuance to this discussion. And largely, in what I have seen in social media and things like this, the developers who were working at Activision Blizzard are largely pretty excited about being part of Microsoft, which I think is...
I mean, it's not Bobby, right?
Regardless of what we think about...
It's an increase in quality.
Yeah, regardless of what we think about consolidation and what we think about when we get into talking about, are these games going to be exclusive? What can we take from the Bethesda acquisition and learn from? It is also good to keep in mind that that is not the only thing we need to think about in this. It is also my understanding is that Microsoft takes pretty good care of their employees. Their benefits are pretty robust. They pay well.
I mean, they should be for the amount of, money they have.
But then you look at Amazon, and it's like it's not one-to-one. Like, you don't just have a super profitable company and then just be like, well, yeah, we pay well and we have good benefits and reasonable time off and stuff like that. Like, you know, we were talking about valuations and stuff earlier. Microsoft's market cap is $2.271 trillion. And Sony's is $143.12 billion, which is less than Microsoft had cash on hand. So they could have just bought Sony if they wanted.
I don't think Sony would ever go for that unless things got truly dire.
But I'm just saying, they had that much in the bank in cash, and they definitely could have got a loan for more if they wanted. You can just show up and be like, because they paid for Activision Blizzard, they paid, I think, 40% over their market cap. So like, that is basically like, I mean, why would we say no? Money.
They're not the same companies. They're not playing on the same level. The only place that they're competing really is on our TV consoles. And that's where it comes to us and what it means for the gamer.
Yeah.
And even so, like, Becky mentioned earlier, like, this is largely a US thing. Like, I used to live in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, and Xbox basically doesn't exist there. Like, it is PlayStation or it is PC, and some people are into Nintendo stuff. But like, Xbox is kind of a non-factor in a lot of places that I've been. Like, it's big
even
in Europe,
the East is handheld for a large part of it.
Yeah. And the interesting thing to me, Brian, off that point, is that Sony has bet really, really hard on the Western market. Like, you look at their exclusives, Last of Us.
They moved their headquarters here.
They moved their headquarters here. Their studios are largely based in the West, mostly in the US. They've bet really, really hard on the Western market, and they've actually lost a lot of their market share, especially in Japan, because of that. And I think it's really funny in hindsight that they like made this really big bet, and Microsoft was like, yeah, what if we just bought Activision? Like, cool, good, yeah.
One of the biggest developers in the world.
Right, like,
forget bets. We don't have to make bets. We buy sure things.
Yeah, we're just gonna own World of Warcraft and Call of Duty and Spyro and Crash and.
It's interesting now that with this acquisition, Microsoft now owns World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online, which are two of the biggest MMOs in the world.
That's like two of the top three, right? The only one that's
it's probably that and Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
They also own
a lot of other ones with respectable player bases, but none of them really come close to those like three, I would say.
Yeah.
They also own like all of the shooters.
That's what I was gonna say. Doom, Halo, Quake, Wolfenstein, Call of Duty.
Halo.
I said Halo.
You said Halo.
Oh, you said Halo?
Yeah.
We'll say Halo twice.
Say it again.
So look.
Say it again. It makes me feel good.
Call of Duty, Overwatch, Halo, like it's ridiculous.
It's bonkers.
And even if they wanted to go back and revive more old shooters, they own Singularity. They own like all these little things here and there, And
I'm hoping this prompts PlayStation to revisit some of their shooters and revamp them. We talked about this a little bit. I liked Killzone a lot. I'd like to see another Killzone game.
Killzone 2 a lot. I would like another one of those.
Yep.
Killzone 2. Yeah.
I want Resistance to come back. I've wanted that ever since they stopped making them, but
I liked Resistance 3. That was the one that I liked.
I like
my favorite.
If they made more of them like that, sure.
My favorite was Resistance 2, but that's because it had there's two moments in gaming where like scope really impacted me, and one was in World of Warcraft and the other one was in Resistance 2. And in Resistance 2, there's a moment where you come out of this tunnel and you watch it opens up and you see the skyline of San Francisco, and the whole city is on fire and there's spaceships everywhere, and it was just a really incredible moment.
It's rad.
But yeah.
In terms of other things, and this is like the lesser stuff that like only people like me and like some of y'all are going to care about, they also own a lot of major RTS franchises now. Age of Empires, StarCraft, Warcraft, and on and on and on.
Yep. And I'm really interested. I mean, also, like, they're not huge, but they're widely considered good. Halo Wars, like another one like that. And
Halo Wars 2 is a very good game.
Yeah.
I will I will continue to say
It
that.
was good enough for them to base Halo Infinite's story on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And one
Do
was
we
a
think-
very good competitive RTS.
Yeah.
Do we think some of the subscription-based games will make it onto Game Pass, Blizzard's games?
Nope.
I really think that it would be smart to put World of Warcraft on PC.
I
Game
don't.
Pass.
As much as cool as it would be, and I don't think that happens. There's not a chance in hell that happens.
So I'm going to go in the middle and say I think yes to an extent. I think you'll still have to pay a subscription fee, but I think the expansions and the base game will just be there. You will not have to buy them. You'll just have to pay for
like I could see that world where they're like, no longer will you have to buy World of Warcraft, but you'll still have to pay us to play it, because even with all of the drama and the bad, the quote unquote bad expansions, I haven't played since Legion, so I've only
You
heard.
haven't missed much, buddy.
That's what I hear.
I haven't played since Legion either, but that expansion was really good.
Like there's still millions of people who are willing to pay monthly for World of Warcraft, and why on earth
That's
would
a
they just
huge
say?
part of their income? Yeah.
Why on earth would they just say like, nah, never mind? That's like millions of dollars a month for,
That's true.
nothing really.
But if you basically rolled that into the cost of Game Pass, if you were basically paying the same amount, but you were getting Game Pass PC instead of just World of Warcraft, that incentivizes people to jump in to other games, maybe try other games, and then invest further in the ecosystem.
Well, that's
Sure.
Microsoft's whole thing, right? The ecosystem, trying to get the PC players and the console players, having Game Pass on everything, trying to mix it all up. It seems silly that they wouldn't include that.
I see your point, but I'll also raise you that they've owned Elder Scrolls Online for a couple years at this point, right? That
It's like
game,
Game Pass.
you don't have to pay a subscription to play it, but it has a subscription. They don't give you that for being a Game Pass thing, nor do they give you access to all of the expansions for being on Game Pass, because part of the subscription paying it is that you get access to all of the Elder Scrolls expansions. So instead of buying everything a la carte, if you wanted, you could just pay your $15 a month and you just have all the content forever. They are not going to just throw all that income away, because a huge part of the player base would probably be like, well, I'll just pay for Game Pass then. I don't think there's a world in which World of Warcraft gives
The
away
smart,
the
crappy
subscription.
middle ground would be to have just like one continent unlocked, and then to get people in, and then say you have to pay.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you could do the trial.
That's
You could put the
essentially
trial
what
in there, yeah.
that's essentially what Elder Scrolls Online does. So on Game Pass you get Tamriel Unlimited, which is like the original base game. You can play that literally forever if you wanted, but it's only one of the continents. It's not any of the Morrowind content. It's not any of the like Skyrim adjacent content they've released or anything like that.
Couldn't they do like a new light thing, like similar to what Destiny did?
Yeah, that's the
Or
Tamriel.
isn't that the same deal? Okay.
Yeah, where you can go
Harvey-
anywhere you want and everything scales to you and all that.
Yeah. Harvey also said in the chat, they'll raise
Harvey!
they'll raise the Xbox Game Pass pricing to about $20 a month, and then that'll include the feature for new WoW subs.
I bet
You could
they
have
I
it
could
where it's
see
just
that.
a part of Ultimate.
Yeah,
I could see that.
but I could also see them just raising the price of Ultimate now that they own Activision.
Right? Like, do you want your yearly Call of Duty? Subscribe, please.
Yeah. Subscribe to this.
I mean,
And by
that's
the way,
not-
you get FIFA
that's
and
not a
Madden
bad
and
option.
any Star Wars game, and because you have the EA
Yeah.
Pass. Like,
And Ubisoft now, like,
Yeah.
it's-
Well, the EA
Well-
Play thing only doesn't give you those stuff on launch.
That's true.
You get stuff. You have to pay for like the one slightly above that to get that. But you get the like base one at launch, which gives you access to like a ton of games, but it's not not like right when the EA games come out.
okay.
Which is nuts. Actually, I just thought about that. That's nuts. Because one of the only big shooters that Microsoft doesn't own is Battlefield.
Yeah.
And you can play Battlefield through EA Play.
Yeah.
And then what's the Ubisoft deal? Isn't that? I thought
I
that
mean,
was in addition to Game Pass.
I still think okay.
I think you get it now with Ultimate. I don't remember.
I don't know. But I will say like the shooter thing, we forget about some of the big like juggernaut shooters that are not even like CS:GO is still gigantic. And we don't really talk about it that much because it doesn't change that much. Ubisoft still owns Rainbow Six Siege, which like is still incredibly popular.
They still have tournaments for it constantly.
There's other
and Extractions on Game Pass now too.
There's other really random shooters on Steam like Warface that get a lot of players. Like they're not like, you know, CS:GO levels of players, but there's still like a good amount, you know. Like
the servers are still on.
Talking about
exactly.
and we're also not talking about the free shooters that are huge, like Call of Duty Warzone, which is free to play, Apex Legends, which is free to play. You know, all of this.
Apex is big. Like, I think people also forget about that. And like, I know that when they say like shooter, we're always thinking of things like that have a single and a multiplayer mode combined. We don't really think about like battle royales, but like some of those games, their audiences are gigantic and dwarf, you know, the average player base of something like a Gears of War.
I consider, Titanfall 1 and 2 to be fairly big, and Apex Legends has been so successful that Respawn is basically like, yeah, you're never seeing Titanfall again. So,
shame.
Much to my chagrin, but that's just the way it is. So,
tell him, Brian.
Never say never.
Yep.
You might, you know.
We might, but like, you know, there's not really an incentive for them to do that when they were critically roller received but didn't actually sell that well. So,
I know in a post-Apex world that might change, right?
That's true. That's true. I mean, this is the same thing that we talk about with Arc System Works. Like, they made great games for a very long time, but it wasn't until Dragon Ball FighterZ came out that Guilty Gear started selling well. Like, Guilty Gear Strive came out, and it sold really well because it was the follow-up to a really popular licensed game that sold like 8 million copies plus. That is still getting support even though it came out in February of 2017.
As a Guilty Gear fan, thank you, Dragon Ball fans. We appreciate you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Hey, you're
buddy.
welcome. I bought that game like 4 times.
Awesome. And Biken's coming out this Friday, which I'm so excited about.
Yes, she is.
And
Anyway.
yet, all of you sit before me, and I am nothing but disappointed. Because none of you brought up what Colin Stevens brought up on Twitter, and it was the same thought that I have. And that is that Toys for Bob is now owned by Microsoft.
And they can make
a new Banjo-Kazooie.
They can.
I mean, Spyro first, but then you can have your bear platformer. You know,
Then we already got
first.
Spyro. What do you mean?
I need a new one.
Oh,
We
a
need
new
a
one.
new
That's fair.
Spyro.
I need a
That's
new
fair.
one. I've been waiting. You had nuts and bolts. I've been waiting.
That's fair.
And
What do you got? You had Legend of Spyro. It was voiced by
Uh,
Elijah
okay, but
Wood.
those are bad.
Gary
We don't talk
Gary
about them.
Oldman was in it.
Those do not count.
No, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
we don't talk about that. But we do talk about the fact that they now own the rights to Spyro and Crash Bandicoot as well.
Yeah.
You say Bandeecoot funny, and I feel
He
like
does.
you made a good
Wait,
point,
how did I wait, hold on.
Bandicoot.
Stop.
Yeah.
You
Is
gotta
that- is
throw
that
away
not-
the I.
Bandicoot.
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 I liked your way. I was excited because I want more Crash, and I just, but then you made the point that they've had Banjo-Kazooie and they haven't done anything with it. So who knows?
Yeah,
if
but
we'll
I
get more
mean,
stuff
not
from
really.
Crash.
Activision did eventually do things with Crash and Spyro.
Yes,
But they-
Crash. I never thought
but
we'd get a new
didn't they-
Crash, and we did.
Didn't they reallocate those resources to make like maps for Call of Duty?
Yeah,
Like, wasn't
so
that a whole big thing like 6 months ago?
there is no studio at Activision that is not Blizzard that does not work on Call of Duty.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single studio makes some successful game.
Yeah,
Like, here's Tony Hawk into the salt mines.
That's
Yeah.
such
Crash
colonizational
into the salt
bullshit.
mines.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest tragedy was was High Moon when
Yes.
because those Transformers games they made were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Those
And I
games
love
bang.
them. I love them dearly.
You're talking
And-
like War for Cybertron and
Yeah.
yeah.
Fall of Cybertron like ends with a cliffhanger where you know they're gonna go to Earth finally. And it's like, fuck yeah, right? We're gonna get into like it would have been a great like trilogy. And also the multiplayer for the Cybertron games was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
like
good.
perfection B-level multiplayer shooter, right? And then Destiny came out and they just like pushed that whole studio onto Destiny support. And now I assume they're on Call of Duty support, which really sucks because I would have loved to have seen another one of those freaking Cybertron games.
As somebody who is a huge fan of their Star Wars games, Raven being a support studio for Call of Duty for ages, and then coming out with, in my opinion, a really good Call of Duty game, and then question mark what's going to happen with them, because they did Black Ops Cold War, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was
please
a really
let
fun
Raven
game.
make another Singularity. I beg, please.
Yeah,
He has so many cool ideas.
yeah. But first, before we proceed, since Josh was away, I need to know the mascot platformer Crash. Josh, how do you say his last name?
Bandeecoot?
I love you so
I
much.
guess I am the only one.
What did you
That's
say?
fine.
How did you say it?
I said Crash Bandicoot.
That no.
Bandee, not
That's
Bandee.
Mario. That's not right.
Crash
Mario.
It's
Mario. It's Super Mario.
Mario.
I mean,
it's
it
Crash
is
Bandicoot.
Mario.
It's funny though that Microsoft now owns Sony's two like quasi unofficial mascots from the 90s.
Yeah,
That
the
is
PS1
I find that humorous, even though
The
it means
3D
nothing. But
Yeah, the
Right.
3D platformers that I played in the PS1 era. Yeah, I mean, I was all about them.
So I think the funniest thing is if you told somebody like, a few years ago, like, yeah, eventually Microsoft is going to own more platforming franchises than Sony. They would have been like, you're out of your mind.
I would have, if any of these things had happened, I would have been like, you're insane. That
You're
wouldn't happen.
insane. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
And yet.
I'm like, they'd
here we
sooner
are.
close Xbox than buy all these studios, and then here we are now.
I think they have, when this goes through, they're going to have over 30 studios.
Yep,
Just
That's
like,
good.
it's wild.
Wasn't their goal to have like a big Game Pass launch like every month or every like couple months or something? Which they're getting
heard
really
people
close
say-
to having that now.
mhm.
I've heard people say that like they will be able to have a major AAA release exclusive to Game Pass if they want it, like basically every month.
They-
or two.
It's interesting because they kind of do already, but it's not like they're AAA games. They'll release like the Rainbow Six Extraction, which I'll talk about on the show when I play some more of it, because I played a bit of it. That's a game I never would have even. I would have been like, eh. But the fact it's up there and it's free, right? In theory, I'm like, oh, I'll definitely try this. I'll play it. I'll put time into it, right? Because it's like there's no barrier to entry. They have stuff like that all the time, like Back for Blood and like a lot of other indie games that I just never would have been.
Halo
I was like,
Infinite.
I never would have bought that.
Yeah,
I mean, I
small
would've bought
indie
Halo. I
title,
would've bought
Halo
Halo
Infinite, you may have
Infinite,
never
but-
heard of it.
Yeah, I would have bought Halo Infinite, but the point I'm saying is they already kind of have these like games that make you log in and go like, well, I'll try this. At least to me, I always check the like everything that's coming every month
No, I
because
mean,
I get curious. I want to try stuff.
Friday night I turned it on and I was like I saw that they had the drop, and it was like Hitman 3, Death's Door. There were two other games that I had been
It was the
waiting on.
Hitman
Real
trilogy.
bangers.
It was Nobody Saves the World.
Yeah, that
Rainbow
was on
Six
there.
Extraction.
Yeah.
Like a couple other.
And
yeah.
I was like, I don't have to buy a game for like 2 months. I'm gonna buy Pokemon on Friday, but
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, like how much stuff that service just introduces you to. Like, I am now a Yakuza fan. I never played a single Yakuza game. I'm gonna play
That-
all of them now.
that happened with a lot of people with that
Right?
franchise. Yeah,
Unpacking blew up again because it was on Game Pass. Like, it just happened.
Yeah, which we talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
great game.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really good. And like the ridiculousness of like, it wasn't just that they're like, yeah, one of the Hitman games is on there. No, it's all three of the Hitman games, and I'm assuming you can play them all in the Hitman 3 engine, which
Yep.
is what I did, and I
Mhm.
did that on Xbox Series X, and that game fucking kicks so much ass. It's ridiculous, actually.
I've been waiting for them all to be up because because they got Hitman 2, I think, was a PlayStation Plus game a couple months back.
Yeah.
And I'm an insane person and I have to play things as they were released, even if they're not the same, because I want to be in the mindset of the gamer.
I mean,
You
it
know,
is
when they
it is a
came
story
out.
through, so you made the right
Exactly.
decision.
So
Yeah.
I'm super pumped about that. But I'm also
Also-
hoping that, speaking of PS Plus, that this will at least, if they don't expand to like a X Pass or Game Pass
X-Pass.
type thing, Game Pass type thing on PlayStation. Hopefully that at least the PS Plus games will be a little meatier going forward.
My guess is in the next 2 to 3 months, they have to have a response at this point. They have to. At the very least, they have to give us Crunchyroll. Like, just put it in my subscription. I'm not paying for it.
It's funny you said that, Chris, because I was just thinking about that, and I was like, when I was walking my dog earlier, I'm like, man, maybe I should just cancel PS Plus. I don't use it.
Yep.
Like,
I've also thought about this.
I literally can't think of. I don't think I've played my PS5 since I moved.
I logged in the other day just to see how many, because I would buy, like, CD keys would always have sales where it was like 12 months for $25 or whatever. And I bought a bunch of them. I was like, I wonder when this expires. Like, I'll just disconnect my card from it. It's like 2025. Like, I'm kind of pissed that I did it because I don't use it for anything.
I use it a lot. I am not a PC gamer. I have my Xbox and I do the X Pass. Or sorry, I keep saying Xbox. Game Pass.
X Pass.
But, you know, I get most of my games through my PlayStation credit card that gives me Sony points that I redeem at the store, which is rad. And then I get, you know, like 2 or 3 playable PS Plus games a year, which is enough for me, honestly, to justify them being able to go online and play and shit. But I freaking loved Knockout City. I know that was one that was available
Knockout City
before.
was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
It's on Game Pass now, I think.
It is, I know.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify having it if you have Game Pass. I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's unless you play your PlayStation a lot, which it sounds like you do. The thing is, I just don't. But I find myself booting up the Xbox like a lot.
I'm all about those trophies, Josh.
You know what?
Sweet, sweet platinums.
I was, and like little by little, no, seriously, little by little, like I'm chipping away at my PlayStation backlog, and I'm getting to a point where I'm like, anything new, I'm not paying for it because we're trying to save for a house. I already have Game Pass. I'm like Death's Door was the perfect example. I was like, I'm not gonna buy this. I'm either gonna wait for it to go on stale to play on the Steam Deck, or it's gonna end up. I know it's gonna end up on Game Pass. Hades was the same way, and then it did, and I was like, hell yeah! Like I was right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Death's Door was like, and it's the wild thing about Game Pass is it's not garbage on there. Like literally, like what was just added to it. Nobody Saves the World, a game I literally I'm reviewing. I'm talking about on this show. I was sent a review key for, and I cannot stop playing it. I'm totally addicted to it. Rainbow Six Extraction, which like isn't my cup of tea, but you know is gonna vibe with people. Death's Door, which was on my GOTY shortlist for last year, and Windjammers 2, a game that Will and I played all afternoon, and we're gonna talk about later in this episode as well. Like then Danganronpa, like the Mass Effect trilogy,
that was
the
the
legendary
other one.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Like the Hitman trilogy, like Outer Wilds, like Plague Tale, like these are dope.
It's
games.
curated.
Yeah.
These are like 8s, 9s, sometimes 10s. Like these are freaking really, really, really good games. And they run amazing. Like on the Series X, like they run beautifully, even if they're like old Xbox One games or 360 games or whatever. Because Microsoft and the ridiculous team over there of tech wizards have figured out how to squeeze all this performance out of these old games. But anyway, did we want to briefly touch on, before we move on and talk about other stuff, did we want to touch on how we feel about this from a consolidation, and what do we think we're going to see as far as like, is Sony or is Microsoft going to make these games exclusive? Is it going to be some? Is it going to be all of them? Is it going to be none of them? I want to know what each of you thinks.
Okay.
I can kick us off if we want.
Sure.
I don't love consolidation. Phil said a few years ago that he wasn't interested in taking anything away from anybody, which isn't the way you run a competitive company. That's just not how you do it if you're trying to get people in your platform and get them invested in your ecosystem and buying more games on your platform where you take a cut of every sale. Making exclusives is the way that you push your platform. That's just the facts of it. And so I liked that he took that tack when he was talking about this initially. The way that they've treated their Bethesda acquisition, where they were saying, Starfield is going to be an exclusive. Redfall is going to be an exclusive. These new things that we're making are going to be exclusive to our platform. It makes sense, but at the same time, I'm the type of guy who wants everything to go everywhere.
Yeah.
I would rather people just have their pick. Like, if you want to play this game on Switch cloud version, I think you should be able to have the option to do that. I want to play stuff on PC because it scales really well, and I want, when I, upgrade my PC in 30 years or whatever, I know that I've still got my copy of Half-Life there. I've still got my copy of Counter-Strike Go there. I've still got my copy of Baldur's Gate there. These sorts of things. Like, that is something that I like. But I gotta say, if anybody was gonna make something exclusive and then respect it and then treat it well, I think of the big three, Microsoft is probably the one that's gonna do that. So if they had to be exclusive somewhere, being an Xbox exclusive means that they'll probably come to PC via PC Game Pass. They will probably come to Steam because they're selling Master Chief Collection and Gears and all this stuff on Steam. Like, Sony is not gonna do that. Or if they do that, it's not uniform. Because we've seen, like, the Horizon port, from my understanding, is, like, pretty bad. The God of War port is really good, but it's, like, it seems inconsistent. And then Nintendo, just, Jesus. But, I don't know. As much as I don't like it, I think that if this was going to happen, this is probably the best we can ask for, to be honest.
I hope so.
And I genuinely hope that you don't need an acquisition to shake up management and address workplace concerns. But with a company this big and a company this powerful and a company this lucrative, it does take something dramatic. And we obviously still have not seen what's going to happen with the court case that the state of California has against Activision Blizzard for workplace conditions and sexual harassment and gender discrimination and that sort of thing. But it's hard for the optimist in me not to be thinking about all the things that this could help. As many things as could be made worse by this.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to that is Microsoft is a company that, like, outside of, like, its financial resources, like, but it's human resources. It's human resources and its mission, like, for its platform at this point. Like, there is no other company that I can think of in the gaming space that pushes inclusivity as much as Microsoft does and the Xbox brand does. And
accessibility.
And accessibility at this point. There's no better company that could fix this that I can think of. Prove me wrong otherwise, if there is anybody. But, like, they have the talent, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the messaging. Like, they have all of that together. They just have to drain the swamp, as it were, and not fuck it up.
Yeah, Oh, Becky, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I would just say I don't have a ton of faith in the larger the corporation, the better the conditions for the worker, or the more leverage or the more heard concerns can be. I also just want to say that I've been off the Blizzard kick since 2019 and the Blitzchung stuff, and there are, whenever a company starts getting multinational, global, there are so many more concerns about freedom of expression and tons of stuff that come into play there. Is this maybe the best thing that could have happened to get Bobby out of there? Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know how that could have been rectified by someone just literally paying him to go away, which is essentially what happened.
I mean, it's in his contract, right?
Yeah. So, but
because he's got a bunch of friends on the board and they weren't going to vote against him because he's making them hand over fist money.
Yeah.
I don't think Microsoft has any incentive to, throw a wrench into what is developer culture right now. I don't think that that's something that they're really have any
doing.
No, why would they? I think that it's going to take a massive international labor movement to really improve these conditions. But I'm hopeful for, I don't know. Oh, and in terms of exclusives, I think the contracts will run out. And then I think that they look at the fact that they have Game Pass and they do stuff on Steam Deck and they have stuff on PC as being options. And that's going to justify them taking Call of Duty away. But I also hope that the Call of Duty studios start doing other stuff. Those are my hopes.
I agree with a lot of what's been said. And I've said this for a really long time. And I think it's kind of funny in a way because like Sony spent the last 2 console generations exclusives. Our exclusives are better. Our exclusives are better. Our exclusives are better. And I told people, I'm like, you realize the instant Microsoft decides to play, this is over, right? Like you understand the financial difference. The instant they decide they're going to take this seriously, it's over. And yeah, it kind of is. So I think this is a good thing from a couple perspectives. Like, I think those people are going to be treated better at Microsoft than they will be under Activision. Like, just straight up. Even if, I don't know how this affects the labor movement. You would hope that they would still be able to unionize, but even if they're not, I think they'll be treated better. I think they'll probably, like Microsoft is a real company. They're not a game company. You don't have scandals like that at companies that big because they're like, you're not going to do that shit here. That makes us look bad. You know what I mean? But they are a real company. And there are benefits to that. And the other thing is, as far as like exclusives go, there's no way you ever see another Call of Duty on PlayStation once those contracts expire.
I disagree with that, but
I agree with you.
And the reason for this is, people are like, oh, it makes so much money. It has such an established user base. Microsoft doesn't care. You know what makes them more money? Selling Xboxes and getting you to subscribe to Game Pass. You don't pay $70 billion to publish multi-platform games. It does not work that way. And people should have learned during the Bethesda thing, because eventually, initially with Bethesda, it was like Phil Spencer wouldn't be like, yeah, we're still thinking about it. And then as soon as that acquisition went through, you will never see Starfield. You will never see another Elder Scrolls. If you don't think that's the exact same thing that's happening here, like, I don't know what to tell you. Microsoft is not doing this because they want to publish games on PlayStation. Although that would be an incredible power move, and I would respect it.
I only have one
Game
monkey
Pass
wrench
on
to throw
PlayStation.
into that.
Yeah.
And it's only because historically, like, we've seen them do it. Everybody said the same thing with Minecraft. They bought Minecraft. That was going to be.
Minecraft was already there.
Minecraft was already there. So Warzone, that stuff will stay.
Guess what? Minecraft Dungeons is on PlayStation, and you know when that came out? 2020.
Could be. I could be wrong. You know what?
Like, but I think it's going to be case by case. I don't think it can be everything.
Yeah.
To give you a little bit back here, it was a timed exclusive on Windows and Xbox.
Yeah.
I think it came to Switch and PlayStation later, but it did come there.
Like, this is, in my mind, this is what... Sorry, Will, are you done?
Oh, I was just going to say that, last thing is that, like, I think they'll keep the existing stuff there, but I think, like, people looked at that Phil Spencer tweet over and over again, and they're like, it's our desire to keep stuff on PlayStation. It's like,
right?
Yeah, that might be, like, contingent with, like, hey, Sony, you gonna let Game Pass on your platform? No? Okay, you're not getting a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think
We
that there's...
want to do it,
Yeah,
are
like-
you gonna let us do it, baby? Are you
gonna, like, we really want to help
I don't
you here,
want
but
to
you
take
gotta give us
exclusives away from
something.
you, baby. I hate doing this. Why do you make me?
But I feel like that's gonna be part of the
real.
negotiations. Like, I feel like this is going to be one of those things where, maybe case by case basis, but again, like, they're not doing this to publish Sony games.
Here's what the way I see this going is that the next few years, the contracts do what the contracts are going to do. And then eventually we get to a point where everything like a Call of Duty or insert name here becomes a timed Crash Bandeecoot becomes a timed exclusive for a year. But if Xbox has enough of those and says, hey, you can continue to play these on PlayStation a year from now, or you can get an Xbox and play them day one with Game Pass, like, it kind of writes itself. Like, there's no incentive. Like, you could spend $60 in this game a year from now or $15 a month and you just get it.
I mean, you can
Conceptualizing a
even
timed
more.
exclusive Bandeecoot that you have to wait a year to play on PlayStation. It just kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of like me.
That the first time. Like, what?
Yeah. Like who's gonna die on that hill of like, but I'm a PlayStation player. Like eventually you're gonna be like, some people
just
will.
weirdos.
Yeah,
Just weirdos.
but it gets to a point where it's like, I can't justify this anymore, and I think that's where a lot of people are gonna end up.
I think if you're casual,
If you buy 2 games a year or whatever, or 3 games a year, like that's fine. If you're like, oh yeah, I always play PlayStation, like there's always going to be those people. But
if you're trying to be
how
part
much
of the
that is
conversation,
the market though? How much is that? How many people who buy consoles are those people? What percentage? Do we know?
no,
I don't know.
I would say probably the majority, to be honest.
I bet you it's the majority of them. Not everyone is like we are, like just so sucked into it.
What was it? The attach rate on Switch was like 9 games or something, and that was considered
10.
that was considered exceptionally high.
Yeah.
Like most people buy a console.
Which blows my
and,
mind.
like,
Why would you
a
pay
couple of games.
$500 to play 3 games on it?
People bought PS5s and Series X's to play Warzone when they already had a PS4 and an Xbox One.
They just wanted it to run better.
Yeah,
But
like
Chris,
that's all
it's
they
so
want.
much shinier on the Xbox Series X and the PS5.
I did buy
it wasn't.
for my 4K TV. I did buy an Xbox Series X for my 4K TV when I didn't play anything else on it besides watch Planet Earth.
But
Totally
Chris,
sober.
my PS4 isn't anywhere near this tall.
Yeah.
I need a tall boy.
I need it to
I'm
take
not-
over 50% of my entertainment system.
If I'm playing a free game, I want to be playing it on the Eiffel Tower.
I'm getting mine this week. I'm very excited.
That thing actually
I want
looks
everyone
like
to
Guggenheim.
know.
I
So
just got one finally.
in our living room, we have these like cubes kind of that are built into the wall, and they have like, family pictures and
I already
stuff.
know
One
where
of
this
them
is
has
going.
one of them has our Xbox in it, and then there's these cabinets below, and our PS5 is hidden in one of those cabinets, and we can shut the doors. It's like the kid we keep in the basement, and then we're like, no, we only have 2 children. There's not a third one.
So my entertainment system has a cabinet that you can open and then tuck things away in. On one shelf, I have an N64, and the other, I have a Nintendo Switch. The only reason that they're in there is because the PS5 is too goddamn big to fit inside.
It is a
I
large
can't wait till
lab.
mine arrives. I'm gonna put it right in the middle so everyone has to look at it because I think it's gorgeous.
That's what I
All I'm
have
gonna
to do.
say is the PS5 looks like a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
was gonna say it looks like a big, beautiful pussy. I love it. Sorry. Is that unacceptable? You said I could curse. That's not really a curse.
That's totally fine.
You're good.
Totally
I
fine.
need an adult.
You
I'll
are
say
an
the
adult.
rosary for you tonight. Don't worry.
There's literally only adults in this room. That's the point.
So Activision Blizzard, huh? That was a thing.
Anyway,
That was the thing.
I guess I can give my thoughts now.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Joshy boy.
you got some.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I didn't really know how to feel at first, to be honest. I thought it was a little weird because I share a lot of those labor issue kind of things as everyone else does. But part of me was like, oh, maybe this means I'll be allowed to like Blizzard stuff again soon, like when they fix it, right?
Mhm.
But I definitely don't, like, going back to the exclusives things, I still can't see a world in which Call of Duty is not on every major platform. Even after a while, just because I feel like they can still make a lot of money that way. Like, you have to think about, you can't just think about like game sales and stuff too. It's like all of the microtransactions you miss out on by not having, you're cutting out like just millions of players who probably won't jump ship, right? Some of them will, but a good amount of them will probably just be like, oh, I'll go play something else. You know,
I mean, I'll
I'll
tell
go
you
play
right now.
whatever's on my PlayStation. So
Every single member of my wife's immediate family owns a PlayStation. Every single person on my block, everybody in my housing development that I know has a PlayStation. None of them have Xboxes. None of them have Switches. It's PlayStation. And
What do you think that is?
I mean
Brand
that's just
Yep.
anecdotal
Better
evidence.
advertising?
I think it's you play with what your friends have.
Yeah.
That's also too, right? Like, if you want to play Call of Duty with your buddies and your buddies have a PS5, guess where you're buying Call of Duty? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not anymore, I guess, but back in the day, yeah. No, I didn't mean that as an exclusive thing. I meant just because it has crossplay, right?
Yeah, but yeah, it's
I don't
not
think...
to interrupt and sideswipe your conversation. I was just saying, like, anecdotally, most people I know that play video games play PlayStation.
We may not see the lasting like ramifications of this until the next generation, in all honesty. I think that's when this really starts to make an
knows
impact.
what that's going to look like.
Yeah, because you've got 5 to 8 years of development that has to happen, and the life cycle of these consoles. And during that time, who the hell knows what they're going to want them to make?
Who else are they going to buy? We don't know.
Right? Sega's next, right? Like, it's got to be.
It has to be.
Well, the crazy
Unless
thing...
Sony's scrambling to start buying people too now.
Yeah, and like, I talked about, Sony's market cap being less than the cash on hand in Microsoft's war chest. This is also basically the most expensive possible purchase they could have made. I think somebody said something like this.
Jeff
they
Keighley
paid
had it.
What it would have cost to buy the next 14 biggest publishers combined.
Jesus.
Like, yeah, like it's
which it's hard to get too wrapped up about monopolization at that point, because it's just a big fish eating a big fish. It's two big fishes getting together and having big fish sex. It's not like
big fish sex.
All I learned.
Write it down.
The only reason that the industry exists as it does right now is because Microsoft allows it to do so. Every now and then they're just like, we want that one, and then they go buy it.
Mommy, that looks good. I'll take that.
Yeah, what's the name of that?
Can't move as fast as money would allow them to, right? Just because of laws and things. But also, they could spend their way into a monopoly.
Yeah,
if they really wanted to.
I don't like any CEOs in the world, but I like Phil Spencer. I just like the guy. I think he's a straight shooter. As they say. So that makes me feel okay.
He's also not a CEO, because that's Satya Nadella.
Yeah.
But isn't he now
he's the Microsoft Gaming now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which
is a separate...
Is that a thing?
It is now.
He even say, when you read his thing, he said that everyone in Activision after the acquisition will report to me as CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
All right.
Which is under Microsoft.
Yeah.
And this man wants to bring back Guitar Hero. He's a Hexen fan. He's a real one.
Yeah, the Hexen shout out.
Right? Either that man did a deep dive on Wikipedia immediately after making that purchase, or he's a Hexen fan. We'll never know.
He was not sure. He's like, I think they have Hexen. I have to check.
Interesting point. And they do. They do have Hexen.
Which is great. Please let Raven make Hexen. Anyway.
Oh, and we didn't talk about... I don't know if we mentioned this. They have Quake now.
They already own Quake.
They already had Quake.
They have Quake 4, which they can now put on Game Pass. That's the entire reason for this acquisition. That's the secret.
They just wanted that game.
They basically have
360 launch title.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, if Phil walked up to Satya and was like, "Hey, boss, I really want a new Hexen and Heretic, and I don't think Activision is going to do it. Can I go buy Activision?"
And Satya was
like,
but you bought Banjo for 0.87% of what you want to buy this for, and you haven't made it.
Just bought.
He's like, yes, but this counts as both your birthday and your Christmas present.
Well, okay.
he's like, hold on. Didn't I just buy you a Skyrim and an Elder Scrolls and a Fallout 6 and a Starfield? Yeah. He's like, yeah, but I want Hexen. And he's like, I almost made a joke. All right. Go get the checkbook from your mother.
I almost made a joke about how they're all in the drawer with the Skylanders now, but now they actually have Skylanders. So.
Now they are actually all in the drawer with the Skylanders. Phil's just sitting there in his office, like, I think we'll have another Guitar Hero, Hexen.
I would love that. Huge fan.
My arthritis wouldn't.
I haven't had StarCraft 3, maybe.
Please.
A really interesting thing about this is there's a game that a lot of, if you listen to other video game podcasts, a lot of them play, which is if you could see X franchise delivered by whatever publisher or developer that you wanted, which would it be? What's your dream game? Combine your favorite property with your favorite thing. And Microsoft can effectively do that now with just the shit that they own.
Right? Whose job is that? That gets to hand out the different games to the different studios.
Phil could literally just be like, you know what? I want a new Fallout Tactics game made by this
Obsidian.
person. Yeah, made by
Yeah.
Obsidian. Let's have a new Call of Duty made by Machine Games. They can just do that.
Well, I mean, it
No.
takes a long
Will
time.
they?
But
Will they? But the
Yeah.
point that I'm making is they own
takes
enough that they can be like, they can just. There's a lot of stuff that they can do with this. They have a lot of talent. We talked a lot about the underutilization of a lot of the quote unquote help studios for Call of Duty. Raven is a great studio. Like, they've made really good games in the past. Like, there are a lot of things that can
But-
come into play.
at the same time, though, you're assuming all the people that used to work there still work there making
Right.
maps, and the reality is they probably don't. So, like,
I
to
mean-
spin a studio like Raven back up to make a full-fledged game would require a lot of hiring, which requires a lot of money. So, like,
I mean, not really. They
Really
just made
interesting point.
they just made Black Ops Cold War. So
yeah,
like
and
they
they're
just
also the lead developer on Warzone too. They've been hiring like crazy.
okay,
But I get what
Well,
you're saying,
it's
Josh.
not like they've
Like,
just
it's-
been that.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. But all that
It's
to say
true.
that a lot of these other studios, like, they would have to go through a lot of hiring and stuff to
The
Like
BioWare of
Sledgehammer
spin up
today is
stuff.
not the BioWare of
Yeah.
yesteryear.
Yeah.
The real question, Brian, and I'm upset with you because you didn't bring this up, is Microsoft crossover fighter when? Now that they
Harry
own
said
everything.
that. Or no, somebody said that in the chat.
I figured you would bring it up, and I wanted to let that. I wanted to leave that for you.
When can Master Chief punch grab by the Ghoulies character? When am I gonna be
need-
able to do that?
I need to see Conquer the Squirrel, fight Sarah Kerrigan, fight the Master Chief, fight Banjo
Crash
Kazooie,
Bandicoot.
fight Crash Bandicoot, fight
okay.
Spyro, fight the Elder Scrolls guy.
I say this as someone who was a huge fan of Heroes of the Storm. There was a really funny comment, I don't remember where, it was on a Reddit thread somewhere where somebody's like, can't wait till Master Chief's in Heroes of the Storm, and the follow-up comment was like, very optimistic of you to think Heroes of the Storm's getting any kind of patches. Which I thought was very funny, because that game is basically in support mode. But I'll wrap up my thoughts with just like the exclusivity thing and Blizzard specifically. I definitely think, yeah, you're gonna have to honor those contracts. Like Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 are definitely gonna hit PlayStation platforms because they have to at this point. Past that, I don't know. I think we could realistically live in a world where a Blizzard game never hits a PlayStation platform ever again. Like, I don't know that that's out of the off the table.
Like Overwatch seems crazier than Call of Duty to me, honestly, when you said it out loud.
Yeah,
I don't
not
think
to
that's,
be
I don't think that's
multi-platform.
crazy. Overwatch mostly makes money in licensing, from what I understand, like just products and stuff. Call of Duty makes money like with tons of
I guess I just know
microtransactions
so
and
many people
annual
who play
release
it on
model.
PlayStation, so it's just so strange.
And also,
Overwatch
like,
fans, buy an Xbox. Thank me now.
yeah,
The
like
PC.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like, as big as a lot of the Microsoft stuff has been, with Activision Blizzard's acquisition, they picked up a lot of esports fodder. Like, there is StarCraft, there's Overwatch League, there's Call of Duty competitions and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that. And one thing that I was thinking about that is interesting is that they have all of these titles that are big all over the world as far as esports are concerned, and PlayStation acquired Evo.
Yeah. The
So
thing,
like, there's an interesting kind of esports.
I feel like that's
element to this
a
as well.
conversation for a different time, just because I
For
don't
sure,
think
sure.
esports is. I think the hype train for that has sort of left, and now we're kind of left with like the. We have Evo and things, but like for the most part, it like companies trying to run it, I think they realized pretty quickly that it's just not feasible, like not economically feasible. And they're starting to kind of dip back out. Like, when's the last time you really heard about like Overwatch League, right? Since it happened, or like Call of Duty League, you mostly hear about just tournaments and things that happen in other games. But I don't know. I mean, I could be surprised. They could come out and be like, yeah, we're going to go really hard into it. But I just don't. I don't. See
COVID
that.
killed a lot of that. I mean, they were literally
That too.
they were going to build a stadium in Philadelphia and
Yeah.
pump
Yeah.
the brakes
Yeah.
on it.
But
Like,
I think
and that
that
happened all
having
over the
that-
country.
Yeah.
If nothing else, having that as an option, having that as like a tool in your toolbox is never a bad thing.
Mhm.
And if you
And
were
just-
gonna back esports, like Microsoft would be able to back it all the way.
And just kind of on that point, esports being maybe something of the younger generation the chat was talking about, what this means for like new consumers, people who are just looking to buy. And all of us, we're so old. We're like really, really, really old.
I'm almost 2,000 years old.
It's
Do me
insane.
like this. It is rude. Okay, keep going.
But, you know, I have such an emotional connection to PlayStation, but I don't know how a child anywhere would pick a PlayStation over an Xbox now, especially
if their
now.
friends or their older siblings are playing PlayStation, right? That's the thing we've talked about on the show a lot, is like Sony doesn't seem to be going after a bunch, like all these other demographics, right? Microsoft, like our gamer bubble people, it's like, oh, they bought Minecraft, and people are like, oh, who cares? Even though in reality, outside of that bubble, Minecraft is one of the most played games on Earth still to this day. And like they're buying all of these studios that make other types of games that aren't just third person open world action games, which
With
Sony
sad
makes
main
really
characters.
with sad main characters, and that are meant for like adults. They're like M rated, right?
Yeah.
So Sony's really good at making these, but like when's the last time they just made like, you know, a shooter? Or when's the last time they just made like this or that that's not one of like in this bucket of genre? And when everyone gets tired of this genre, what do you do after that? Like Microsoft's like buying up all this stuff. They're like, kids deserve games too, right? Like kids deserve games, very casual people deserve things like Minecraft, and then but we also own Skyrim, you know, this like pretty core but also pretty mainstream like RPG. We own like these like really deep CRPGs now. We own all this other, like they own all these little things that have these like, I feel like outside of our kind of gamer bubble are secretly huge. Like if you saw some of the player numbers for some of these games, you'd be like, who the hell are all these people? And it's like,
Nobody
it's because
I know
people
talks
that
about
don't,
nobody
the
I know
people
talks
that
about
engage
Roblox,
with you.
but that game is huge.
Yeah, it's gigantic. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it other than it's huge.
You don't have an 11-year-old kid like that.
Exactly.
The kids love it, though. The kids are into.
Yeah.
Kids are a huge mover in the economy, but go on.
I was just gonna say the thing we haven't talked about, and I wanted to bring it up. Pretty sure Activision Blizzard also owns like Sierra's entire back catalog. So like more adventure games win, please, Microsoft. Just
like what? King's Quest, like
Phil Spencer shouted out King's Quest, yeah.
They made a new one.
I know, but I want another one.
Yeah.
I played it.
It was good.
Didn't he get a 10?
Becky's face just shrugs. Like,
Did it really?
I thought like it reviewed really well.
I had just played Broken Age, and I think that kind of lifted my expectations for what that kind of storytelling would be like.
Yeah. The point is, having King's Quest is good, but having more King's Quest is better. So, you know.
And actually, you know what? So Becky had called out the chat, so I'm looking through, and Ilgrill Chill in the chat says it's not about the consumers that would jump ship. Like teens and young adults are already full force with Xbox. 2 years ago, I had one student with Game Pass. Now there's numerous, but I'm also a small sample size, which actually reminds me when I went to when I used to be playing for this church before this wild pandemic happened. And you guys remember I talked about on the show like a few years back that I taught at this camp. At the camp, they wanted me to teach about video games and sportsmanship and these sorts of things. The only thing that they had were Xboxes. It was just a bunch of different stations of Xboxes with, you know, Game Pass or different accounts enabled with all this stuff, because people would hop on, they would play Halo Master Chief Collection, they would play Fortnite, they would play, you know, all of this stuff on there. And it was all like everybody who was showing up, like boys, girls, whoever it was, they were all just like, oh, you know what? I'll try to play something on the Xbox and I'll just hop over, and they just did it. So I feel like this is anecdotal, but I think there's something to it. And another thing is, how long has it been, Josh and Chris, that we have been saying on this show that the tides have turned, and if somebody was getting into gaming for the first time, we would recommend an Xbox? It's been a while.
Been a while, yeah. I still to this day, like when people ask me, I'm like, well, first it's like, what do you play, or what do you want to play, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's like Fortnite, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, Madden, right? And I'm usually like, all right, get it, like, and depending on how old they are, right? If it's like one of my friends, we're in our 30s, so I'm like, oh,
Or-
get one of the, you know. But if it's like for a kid, I'm like, get an Xbox Series S. It's like a perfectly like good
It's the perfect
gaming
14-year-old,
console.
yeah, electronic.
Especially if all you're gonna play is like Fortnite or whatever. I'm like,
Mhm.
this thing's perfect. You give them a Game Pass subscription, they can play their Fortnite, and then occasionally they go play, you know, some other thing that's on there. They go play some Sea of Thieves or something. Like, it's perfect. It's. We even talked about this when we were doing our whole like thing with the consoles when they first came out, and I was like, what's a better proposition? Someone goes into a store, they're gonna buy a console for their kid, and there's the PS5, which comes with no games. Well, it comes with Astro, right? Comes with Astro. That's it, right?
which is a good game.
And
But
then you can. It is.
fun.
I love it. It's great. And then you can play your free to play stuff. But it's $500, and that's before tax. Or you get them like a Series S,
And
which
2 years of Game Pass.
2 years of Game Pass for the same price, and you're giving them unlimited access to like 200 something games and stuff right when it comes out, and they can still play the thing they like, which is, you know, Fortnite and Madden and all that stuff. It seems like a no-brainer to me. It seems like they have a better proposition. And then if you want to have that bigger machine, which I recommend because I love my Series X, but like
Yeah.
you go for the Series X, right? But
I think we're about to get a second one because Audrey's been playing on my Series X on the TV,
Oh, yeah.
playing Halo Infinite this whole time. And then yesterday we played some co-op and she went back to her Xbox One X on her monitor at her desk.
she was like, absolutely not.
She's like, I cannot do this. I can't do
Hot
this.
trash.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, what's the difference between the Series S and the Series X? And I'm like, well, the X is more powerful. And she's like, I'm like, yep.
Yeah, but if she's not playing on a 4K TV,
She's
Yeah.
like, but she's like, how much is it?
Doesn't matter. Like, I wasn't
Like
for a long
$500.
time, and
She's
it's
like,
still.
yeah.
I can get $500. You know,
I'll figure it out.
And
but that's the thing.
I don't need 2 kidneys.
and Chris is like over here, and I'm telling people to get an Xbox so they can be Banjo-Kazooie converts.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, Josh, you're talking about like why would they get this? And I'm like, we got a bait. We got a bait here. We gotta put some bait. We gotta put some
Rare
chum in the water.
Replay is
And we gotta say-
$7.49 right now.
Yeah.
Checks in the
Reality.
mail, Chris.
30
Checks in the mail.
games. Yeah.
Chris, which of the newest consoles can you play the widest range of Banjo-Kazooie games on? There's only one answer.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Got him.
Switch has
You know, I had to
the-
do it to him.
Switch has the original version.
Okay.
Switch has
For how much?
Switch has Banjo-Kazooie on hard mode.
Can you
All right.
buy it, or is it only on a subscription?
Next question.
Yeah, that's what I freaking thought.
Ladies, have you heard the good word about emulation?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you a little bit about Batocera.
Are there any other closing comments on this topic before we move on to like a few other things before we close out?
Free Hong Kong.
There you go.
There you go.
I like that.
Get
one.
him, Beck.
Thirded.
Get him.
Thirded. Yeah. Yeah, so this is just scraping the surface of
Pretty much.
the amount of things that we could discuss.
We could talk
for
about it
this,
for
but,
hours, probably.
But we do need to kind of wait and see, you know, and we'll kind of see what happens. And of course, we all hope for the best. For anybody who's working over at Activision Blizzard, I really hope that you're happy. I hope that you're treated well. I hope that your union is recognized and that things just are looking onwards and upwards for you. And until then, we'll just wait and see. So next on the roster, another thing that we wanted to have, you may have noticed that we have 2 guests this week. 2, count them.
I did.
And this has been such a disjointed, unorganized episode. I apologize. That's definitely me. I didn't have either of you introduce yourselves, even though one of you was a recent guest host. But Becky, you haven't been on the show in ages.
I haven't done any podcasting in a minute. I had to literally dust off my microphone. It was disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Hey, good.
good. I'm good. I'm in an apartment on the Upper West Side that I love, that has front-facing windows, which is great. I've been
Nice.
playing a ton of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I am screwing my way across Greece. It is just the most gay game I have ever played. I'm playing as Cassandra, and I'm having sex with everyone. So that's been fun. Recently I got that Nier Automata platy, which was super fun to play. And
We gotta go back to that
wacky.
game sometime.
Right.
Auto
It
Tomato
was
is an
super
all-timer.
fun.
Auto Tomato.
I refuse to call that name by its real name. It is
It's
near
Automata.
Auto Tomato.
Automatic
Super
tomato.
fun.
Automata.
The music's so rad. We've been throwing it on the
Oh my
apartment,
God.
just chilling.
The opera, like, I want to be beautiful fight slaps so
Yeah.
hard.
All the amusement
So
park,
good.
park stuff is so good. I love it. What else did I play the crap out of recently? I don't know. Just been trying to be more gamey this year. That's one of my resolutions.
Nice.
Hence me being here with you guys.
Nice.
Mm.
Nice. It's been too long.
We are some gamey folk.
That's true.
Mhm.
If you were to cook me and eat me, you'd
I
be
can
like,
say as
"Dang,
gamey.
that's gamey."
Go to your corner, Brian.
I'll write that down.
I'm the host of this show. The whole room is my corner. But yeah, and then one of the reasons why we had Will on
Was
you
to
know.
talk about Con Air.
was to talk about Con Air.
Oh my
It's
god!
not. It's not really to talk about
It's
Con
not,
Air.
it was not
but it
really,
does-
but it was fun.
but it does have something to do with air, specifically a wind.
Wow.
So we've been playing Windjammers 2, which
The windjammering.
the windjammering of 2.
Electric
So
Boogaloo.
this is a sequel to an ancient game called
Windjammers.
Windjammers.
Didn't it come out in, like 1998?
Isn't it like a Genesis game?
I don't think it's that
I
old.
think so.
Somebody correct me.
It was like an SNES
I'll look it up.
game,
Keep
but I
going.
don't
I'll
know.
look it up.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Windjammers.
yeah,
is
look it up.
great.
Anyway, yeah. So this is another Dotemu game, which of course they've treated us very, very well in the past. We did receive some review
wow.
codes for this, so thank you very much to our friends over at Tinsley PR. And we were able to play. Actually, a few people in our fighting game group got copies of this game. And so we were able to actually sit down the other night and then this afternoon to play a bunch. So basically what this game is it's tennis meets air hockey, effectively.
Mhm.
And it's just you play as like a bunch of just dripping with 80s style characters from a bunch of different nations around the world. And it's this fictional thing called the Windjammers Championship. And you go around and you fight on a bunch of different arenas. There's small ones, there's wide ones, there's some with like nets in the middle, there's some with, you know, these little dividing things along
Bumpers.
the bumpers and stuff, and some of which stay in the same place the whole thing, some of which are movable. Each time they get hit, they'll like kind of like adjust and like move a little bit and be knocked around the arena a little bit. You can do trick shots. You can like throw a curve shot. You can throw a power shot. You can do a bunch of ridiculous like trick super moves where like your frisbee is like teleporting around and slamming into the end goal and stuff. It's completely ridiculous. Like, definitely look up footage for this because the moment I actually would say that the moment that I saw footage of this, I was impressed by it. But I actually saw this behind closed doors before I knew anything about it. I didn't know anything about the original. This is one of the games that I played at PAX 2018 at a behind closed doors event, and it was awesome. And it's been so long since I've seen anything about it, so that when I finally heard it was coming out, I was like, yeah, finally, because this thing was, even back then, it was magnificent to behold. Like, it was so much fun. And I will say, like, Will and I played a bunch this afternoon. It has rollback netcode, which, you know, we want all of our online games to have. It controls beautifully between, him and myself, and we are quite some ways apart. Yes, right here. And there's a pretty good spread of, speed characters, power characters, these sorts of things. There's like a lot of characters, and I feel like there's pretty much anybody for whatever speed you want to play the game at and whatever strategy you want to take. but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's an arcade mode, there's an online mode, and that's kind of it. But I wanted to pass it over to Will to see what he thought about it. I love it, even though it definitely has some things that I wish were expanded upon. But I wanted to go to Will for his thoughts.
More or less the same thoughts. The first time I saw Windjammers 2, I was like, I have never played Windjammers 1, but that game looks dope. And then we played it, and I was like, this game is in fact dope. Cool. But no, it feels really good. It controls really well. It's tight. It has, it's fast. It doesn't feel slow in any way, even with the slower characters. Like, it just feels like it's operating at a fun speed. And you can do some really cool stuff. I feel like it has mountains of depth to it, to be honest with you. Like, when you can knock, the little... Huh?
No, sorry, I coughed, and it sounded like I was snorting at you. So,
that's okay. I deserve to be snorted at. Chris, by the way,
time.
he does. You looked up, when did Windjammers 1 come out?
1994. I was but a year old.
Okay, so was it
1994? So I was a good old 4-year-old.
Neo Geo.
I was 11 years old.
Neo Geo
/ arcade
right.
game. Yeah.
Oh, no one played it because it was like $50,000.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is correct. But anyway, like, the cool thing about Windjammers is like, I think the best like description I can make is kind of like Mario Tennis in a lot of ways, where you can like knock the little frisbee thing up in the air, and then you can like charge up under it and then like shoot in different ways. You have this meter that you can build, allows you to do really crazy trick shots. You can get points by like lobbing something that they can't get to in time that just bounces on the ground.
Oh, also volleyball rules. So like if it just lands on the thing, like they score points.
Yeah, so if you've played Mario Tennis Aces, you have like a pretty decent idea of kind of how Windjammers works. It's just way faster. And I don't know, it feels really good. And the more we played it, like initially Brian was kind of kicking my butt, and I was just like, I hate this game. And then we played it, and I started winning. I was like, I love this game. Yeah, no, because I had never played it before, so I'm just sitting here like, what does this button do, right? Which goes into like one of my qualms with it, which I guess I can start talking about it now since I've praised it, right? Like, it's gorgeous, the music is fantastic, it feels so good to play, but it doesn't have a tutorial. It has like
it has a sequence of like splash screens that have like, here's a button, here's what it looks like when you do the thing that you hit the button.
You guys remember how Xbox Live Arcade was in 2010 when you'd buy a game and it would be like how to play, and it would be like these little slides?
Yeah.
It's that. It's literally that. And in the year of our Lord 2022, no sir.
Yeah. I would, we were talking about this earlier, but like, we both play, Will and I both play Guilty Gear, we both play Dragon Ball, and there are missions in those games where it's like, hey, there's a mechanic in this game called Reflect. Here's how you use it. We're going to put you in a situation where you have to use it. Do this 3 times, whatever. Mm-hmm. Here's how you use Roman cancels. Here's a situation where you're going to need to use it 3 times. Here's another situation. Do it this way 3 times. And I just mentioned
Knockout City, and they had a ton of great tutorial things for their fast movements.
Yeah. And I think this game would have benefited greatly from having like, even if it's just like have one like scarecrow dummy on the other side and just let you practice, and have these like mission modes where it's like, all right, this person's going to do a power shot, look at where it goes, figure out how to intercept it. Like, this, just hit this button and it'll do it again. Like, I think that would have taken this up to like the absolute complete package. That I think a game like the game that is as good as this deserves to be. But one thing I will also say, we were talking about the Microsoft acquiring things and putting them on Game Pass. Windjammers 2 is also on Game Pass.
So if you're like,
and moreover, it has crossplay.
Yes, it does.
So there you go.
As all things should.
All things should.
Thank you. Well said. Yeah, no, like the crazy thing to me is that it doesn't have any of that stuff, because like Brian and I were literally sitting in matches being like, okay, if I press down while I do this guy's super move, does it go down? Like, you know what I mean? We're trying to figure out like, how does this work?
We're using live matches to test how the game works and try to figure it out, because it's not clear.
Right, and there's no way for you to go in as a single player and be like, I want to, I just want to have a dummy that I can like practice stuff against.
You can go into a versus match with infinite time against a level like the lowest difficulty opponent, but it's still an opponent.
Mhm.
Do you
So
think
with-
because this was an arcade game before, they're trying to keep that like spirit of it, where it's like almost that spirit of like discovery of like, all right, here are the basics, like figure it out, and then
You put in your coin and you get as far as you can and you learn something each time.
yeah, and then like like well, you might play for an hour and a half or whatever on your own, and then come back and play Brian to be like, oh yeah, I figured this thing out, and like kind of that spirit behind it.
I think that's definitely there for sure. And
It is a Neo Geo game after all.
yeah,
It
and
does
heavily
look and
arcade.
feel like an arcade game. Like it
It's-
does have that look.
Yeah,
it's so beautifully animated. It's just it's the same way the Streets of Rage 4. You look at it, and you're just like, this is so.
that was
beautiful.
the one I was going to compare it to. Yeah.
Yeah. And admittedly, it was fun to sit in like a match with Brian and just try to figure out like how does this work? How does this mechanic work? Because we're fighting game players and that's what we like to do with our free time. But I don't know. Like, there's so much technicality to it that even just the option to be like, or even like character profiles, right? Like, this is how this character special works, as opposed to you playing a game and being like, well, I've never used this character before. I'm going to press the special button and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and I definitely will agree. Like, I do love that sense of discovery. There is something to that, but I think that's also a pretty generous read. And I don't think that it would take anything away from this game's mystique to have that. Because famously, like, in fighting games, there are command lists of all the moves you can do, and there is stuff that you can do in a lot of these games that's not on there.
Yeah.
Like, that there is still stuff that you can discover. I feel like it would have just benefited a lot from being able to not having to depend on either the AI or having a friend who's going to play it with you to figure this stuff out if you want to go deep. Although I will say, this is the perfect blend of easy to pick up, difficult to master, because anybody who has ever played or seen anyone play air hockey knows exactly how this game should be played. You can literally just run around and hit the A button and be totally fine. Like, this is one of those games that you could just jump in and have a great time with. I think that the base level experience is extremely satisfying. But for somebody who really wants to dig in, I just wish there was more in there that was descriptive and kind of explanatory. And like the fact that they have the how to play thing in there, and that it is detailed. Like there are advanced things that are on that little how to play splash screen. It's like, okay, somebody's throwing something at you, jump up and hit this button to slam it down on the ground. Jump up and hit this different button to roll it like a wheel or do this other stuff. Like there is detailed stuff on there, but because you're not in the game, you're just looking at a picture, it's not really conveying the information in a way that is like, I think, ideal, at least for the way that I learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was definitely sitting there like, look at the slides, try to memorize the slides, go into a game. Okay, how do I do that again?
It's like remembering a fatality in Mortal Kombat.
Right. Yeah. You don't have your command list. You're just like, left, down, up, A, right.
Yeah. And that doesn't work. And you're just like,
That wasn't right. Oh, which part of that
Right,
sequence did I screw up?
yeah.
Yeah. And you're looking for like the one thing, right? Like I kept pressing one button to do like a power attack, only realizing that it only works in like a very specific scenario. So I wouldn't do anything and I would just get scored on. All that said, like, it is so much fun to play. It feels so good. Like, if you watch a trailer for Windjammers and that looks interesting to you, like, get it on Game Pass, y'all. Like, try. It's so fun.
And it's also
Honestly,
on
you
Switch.
talking about how you wished that there was a tutorial is making me want to play it more, because I just looked at a trailer real quick. I didn't realize how nuanced the gameplay was. So the fact that there are so many different moves you could do is actually appealing, despite the fact that it might take a while to master.
Yeah. Like Brian and I were sitting there joking.
How many
like,
curve
this
shots
is a
did I
fighting
make on
game.
you?
A lot. But it's a fighting game for real. Like it has, meter and mechanics and all these cool different things you can do, and it just feels great.
Yeah.
So
It's really, 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 really good. So I
A
absolutely
couch
love it.
co-op?
there's local play.
There's gotta be. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
That
Yeah, there's
I'll play when my
huge-
friends come over next.
Yep.
Yeah, there's local couch multiplayer, and the online, as we said, has rollback, which means it is incredibly responsive, even when you're playing somebody really far away.
Yeah, like I live
It
in New
feels
York.
great.
Brian lives in Texas. We were.
Yep, and it was beautiful.
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
So yeah, it's this definitely gets our oh my god, catch the
rating
fever.
system?
Catch the fever.
This
Catch the
definitely gets our catch the fever award. Or at least
Brian-
it gets mine. Will, does it get yours?
Yes, it does. And would you say it gets your wins jamming?
Oh man, my wins are jamming so hard you wouldn't even believe it.
What did you eat?
I'm jamming all those wins.
Go to the
Don't
doctor.
ask. Don't ask.
My wins are all jammed up inside me, you know? That's all I gotta say. I've been watching too much Always Sunny. I'll
Jesus
just put it that
Christ.
way.
Well, you know, they're always jamming wins.
I'm jamming all those wins.
This is a professional podcast from my mature adults, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
You know, the cream always rises to the top.
Yep.
But for real, play Windjammers 2. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Who's got other stuff? I mean, I could talk about games all day long.
I finished Resident Evil Village last night,
Yeah.
and I
Game of
am
the year update.
very disappointed at the end of that game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
For as good as the rest, everything else in that game is, the end of that game sucks. Like not since A Plague Tale: Innocence have I been like, wow, I can't believe that's just it.
Okay,
Like-
so when you say the end, do you mean like the story end, or do you mean like the Call of Duty section with Chris Redfield?
That.
I'm curious. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because it's just so unlike.
Spoilers, but
the
this
en-
game has been out for a while. You should.
Yeah, it's just the Chris Redfield section is just so unlike the rest of the game, and then I
Shoots
didn't.
up a airport.
What?
No, but like, although
He
Chris
was talking about Call of Duty sections. I was
Oh.
talking
it
about that
feels
big-
like Call of Duty in a lot of ways.
It
And
does.
Chris, tell me you found this funny when he's just smoking that cigarette. Like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah,
Just
like-
around.
Well, and like the whole time I'm playing it, I'm like, I don't play Resident Evil to play games like this. Like I play it to play a Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of that. I didn't care for the last boss. Like the last boss fight went on forever, and the entire time I kept looking at Jess. I was like, I don't even know if I'm doing damage. Like I don't know if what I'm doing is helping. And it probably went on for like a good 10 or 15 minutes, and it was just the same sequences over and over again.
It's very tanky. And
yeah.
you really, and for as long as it is, like, you can't mess up that much.
No.
Like, yeah.
Like it's pretty unforgiving. And if you do mess up, I don't like it's not hard, like because there's not that much to it. It's just like not fun.
Mhm.
And then when
Okay,
it
so
finally
this wasn't your sorry. I'm looking back over the show notes from last week because I was like, you definitely talked about this last
I
week. but
talked
checked
about
and
it. Yeah, it was my
It's
game.
not
of the year.
it's not your heart pick or your critic pick. or
No,
anything
I
like
just
that,
said
but-
like and people should play it. Like I picked it up for $20 over I think I got it from GameFly. They had it, like the PS4 one.
Is it
so-
not still on Game Pass or anything?
It's not on Game Pass now. It's on
Maybe
sale
it
right
wasn't.
now on Xbox for $30. Because every now and then they do that Resident Evil sale. So like $30, I think it's totally worth it. Especially if you're into like New Game Plus and stuff like that. Like it's.
Mhm.
I think if I weren't so turned off by the ending of it, I probably would have gone back and like done New Game Plus. Because I enjoyed the base game that much. But yeah, when it ended, I just kind of looked at Jess and I was like, I can't believe that was it. Like it was that feeling of like just delete it off my system. Like I don't even want to look at this game anymore. Like I was so upset.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you were so is it because the rest of the game was so good that you were just like
I was
"Come
so
on."
let down by the ending of it. And like by the time I got to it, it went on for so long and it was so different than the rest of the game that I was just like, fuck this. Like I don't even want to look at this game anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
meaty chunk. It's not just a coda. What?
Just a meaty chunk. It was just
a meaty chunk.
a meaty
Man,
chunk,
dude,
and then Brian laughed. I couldn't.
This episode has so
That one
many
wasn't
good
on
things.
me. That
Got
wasn't
some
on
good
me.
ones.
Okay.
It's
and I was
probably-
also
Becky, to
I was
answer your
also
question,
keyed up-
it's probably like an hour and a half
Oh,
of content.
that's a pretty meaty chunk.
It's
right
a pretty
there.
meaty chunk, and like the whole time it's happening, it's just like, why? Like why do I feel like I'm like Resident Evil God mode right now? But the gun that they give you is so
Sounds
powerful.
kind of gratifying.
No,
After...
here's the problem. Like,
It's not a
I'm
victory lap. It doesn't feel like
no,
it
like
doesn't
I'm
feel
just
like
gonna go through the ending of it without spoiling too much. So like they give you this machine gun that has 30 bullets in it,
and you get like swarmed by these zombies or lichens, and you're shooting at them, and it takes like 5 bullets per one unless you like can pop off headshots the entire time. So, you know, you're missing or whatever, you're probably getting like 4 or 5. If there's 10 in front of you and it takes me 5 seconds to reload, eventually you just get a bunch of them in front of you, and it's like, okay, I gotta run over here. Like, okay, I gotta reload. Like, and you just keep doing that over and over again. It was satisfying that the gun was powerful, but I had to reload so much that like it didn't feel good. I don't know.
Just
Very,
It
very
pushed
let
it
down.
even more.
Yeah.
If you had been like God and just like
If I
totally
went
effing
in,
up
it was
these-
just like tearing people up. I would have been like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I would have been all
Yeah.
about it, like Rambo style. But like it
the
wasn't that
catharsis
either.
wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is about that game on New Game Plus? Because you get so powerful and all the other guns can be upgraded so much, by the time you get to that section, you actually feel really weak. 'Cause you can't
I
upgrade
bet
those
you do.
guns.
Yeah, because like the what is it, the Wolfsbane? There's like a pistol that they give you that does like more damage than anything else in the game,
Yeah,
and it's like one
one-shots
shot.
everything.
Yeah, one shot everything in the game.
And so you're like running through with that the whole time, and then you get to this section with Chris where you're supposed to feel powerful, right? Like here's this really good submachine gun, and this other
Yeah.
really good, and then you're just like, it takes so many shots to kill these guys. What's going on?
Like what is this? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a letdown.
Womp womp.
I was
Resident Evil
keyed up
7
for
is very
that-
good though.
Yeah, I was keyed up for that pretty meaty chunk bit because Mum Jum in the chat said when your wins get jammed up inside you, that's how you get a ripped ass. Which is true.
Oh my god.
True. So true.
This is not my fault.
Windjammers, the game that rips ass.
Y'all took
Mhm.
my joke way too far. All right.
That's what we
We've
do.
been,
You knew
we've
what
been
you were
ripping
signing up
ass
for.
since before you were born. All right,
Oh
Let's
my
get one thing
goodness.
straight.
Oh boy.
Chris,
Okay.
I'm older than you. I'm pretty sure.
You
I've
are.
been ripping ass since before all of you were born.
Yeah, I think the only person I might be older than here is Chris. So
No, I'm a baby.
Yeah.
he's tiny baby.
A tiny baby.
He's a tiny baby. Okay. Did we want to talk about anything else? I know that we're at normal show length, but I don't mind going a little bit longer because we got so many wonderful things going on in the world of games and so many wonderful hosts to share those things with. Hearts.
I will
Hearts.
spare you my Banjo-Kazooie talk.
All
Yeah,
right,
I don't
just
I don't have much.
That's part of the reason I'm here on the show, Chris. I need a little something. I need a little
Can I-
something.
Can I ask you a Banjo Kazooie question?
Sure.
Oh boy, here we go.
Where's the
So
master? Can you
I
stop him?
No, gosh, it's not like a trivia question. I bought Rare Replay when it came out
Mhm.
on my Xbone. I was super excited. I had never played Banjo Kazooie. I started playing it. I got a little bit into it. I kept falling off things.
Mhm.
I really just couldn't walk in a straight line. It
Oh.
didn't feel correct.
Sure.
Is that like how it works for the whole game? Because I just feel like I was trying to get this one puzzle piece and it was just trying to walk a straight line and the bear kept falling off.
I
and it just
assume
felt
this is in Bubblegloop Swamp.
Wow.
When
that was the exact
you
puzzle.
are, when you
You're
are,
100% correct.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah, because there's one section of this game where when you're in Bubblegloop Swamp and you have to go around, and like while you're going around, there's like other things, like there's a Mumbo token, and there's like one of the guys they have to shoot the eggs into his mouth, and then he like teleports, and then at the very end of that, there's a Jiggy. That Jiggy, if you are like, I'll say a novice to Banjo-Kazooie, is like a pain in the ass to get. It absolutely is. There aren't that many sections of the game like that, but that one is
Okay.
like notoriously like fuck this part of this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch. How in the hell did you know?
I
that you
literally
guys took over?
played it yesterday. Like and I got it first try and I
love you.
felt amazing.
Okay,
Also-
so that is a notorious like
Yeah.
speed bump.
The
Good to
best
know.
the best advice I can give you is walk slow. Like go pretty quickly throughout the rest of the thing, but once you get to that last section, just like tiptoe your way through and then just like
All right.
hop and all you have to do is touch the Jiggy. As long as you touch
Alright.
it, you're fine.
I'll try again and report back.
Okay.
This is
That's
like
awesome.
the Nintendo helpline level of like, I know exactly where you are.
It is ridiculous. Also, by the way, thank you so much, Super Zambezi. We got a raid during the middle of that
Oh.
conversation. We got a raid of 6
Oh.
people. So we got a bunch of
Wow.
people in here
Nice.
talking about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that came
well,
in
wow.
the
Oh, man.
Banjo-Kazooie discussion.
Although I will say, Great Sofa King, what? That Jiggy is easy. What are we
Yeah.
talking about here? The time
Yeah.
Jiggy at Bubblegloop Swamp. I'm kind of impressed with myself that I was able to guess that was the one out of all the Jiggies in the game. There's another one. There's
Wild.
another one that is like notoriously bullshit every time I play that game. Where like my favorite game ever, it's not without its flaws. In Gobi's Valley, when you get the running shoes, you have to like climb to the top of one of the pyramids, and there's a door, and if you don't get there in time, it's like you could get there by like the skin of your nuts, and like you just don't get there, and the door will shut while you're in front of it. Like if you don't cross a certain threshold to like enter like that little black space, like it's awful.
Oh,
Those are like the
yeah.
two worst Jiggies in the game. Actually, and Bubblegloop's not even that bad if you've played a lot of Banjo. But
Great Sofa King says, "Dude, I was the Nintendo hotline for that game. Call me for help." That's
my
dope.
favorite part of this whole thing has been Josh just like staring dead-eyed at his camera, like I've heard
scratching
this.
his chin.
I've been here
I
for the
can't help
Banjo-Kazooie talk.
We've been here. Yeah, we've been listening to this motherfucker talk about Banjo since the dawn of time.
He
So
has,
I
he
love it.
has.
He's passionate about it. Okay,
I
love that he's got a passion for it.
I have one more piece of advice. If you're going to play it on Switch and you're used to N64 controls, I would remap the buttons a little bit because the way that Switch Online is set up, A and B are in the wrong spot. So like you have to make Y B. I don't know. Yeah, you once you see it and you look at an N64 controller, you're like, oh, okay, I see how this is backwards. You can just remap it in the Switch's menu, and it's much better.
Yeah. Captain Dinkpot in the chat says you can't on the Switch. I don't think.
You can. That's how I've been playing it.
Okay.
Because you can't do it in
game. You have to do it system level.
You have to do it system level. So like my Pro
that
controller,
sucks.
my Pro controller, and then like every time I turn it on, it's like, do you want to keep your remap controls or do you want to? And then I have to say like, yeah, I want to keep it because I'm only playing Banjo right now. But yeah, if you go into like the controller settings at a system level, you can flip them around, and then like if you've ever played Banjo, you'll like as soon as you get into it, you'll be like, oh my god, like this is exactly how it's supposed to feel, and then you'll be fine for the rest of the game.
Would you recommend it on the Switch over the Xbox?
What an excellent question, Rebecca June Lane. So the Xbox version of Banjo-Kazooie keeps track of the things that you've collected. So let's say you get 99 music notes and then you die. When you go back into that world, you only have to get that one music note that you're missing. If you play on the Nintendo Switch version, which is the N64 release, you have to then pick up every single item all over again because the N64 wasn't capable of retaining that information. It treated it as like a high score. It was like your high note score is what they called it. So you would then have to start all over again.
Well, now I'm torn because like.
Do you want the challenge or do you
OGG?
want it?
Yeah.
Right. Do you want the challenge or do you want to just like I'm here for the
I'm an
banjo
adult.
and the fun? Like life is
I don't
hard
have time for
enough.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I respect that decision.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how terrifying this level of knowledge is? I'm actually frightened.
Yes.
Like I'm
I
afraid.
This is
love
my
it.
life.
They have had to listen to this for years.
It's fine.
Now,
I'm
really,
just like I'm immune.
It's-
Yeah.
It's fine.
yeah. Now, really happy that
Part of the
Chris
show
has
now.
been able to get recognition on the world stage for his knowledge, because that was great. Yeah.
That was
yeah,
like the
we got,
highlight
like,
of like my
shout-outs.
year, and it's only January. So if for those who aren't familiar, if you go on IGN's TikTok and Instagram, Jeffrey Vega from the social media team, who is such a wonderful human being, let me do a little video about Banjo-Kazooie coming to Switch, and I spent like 5 hours on it. I was so excited.
Yeah. The excitement definitely comes through. It was
Yeah.
really good.
Have you heard from other banjo heads?
Phil
Since you made
Spencer
that
reached
video?
out to me in my DMs. No. No, I had a lot of people really, really friendly across like all platforms. One guy said I should be on MVC, and I was like, that would be cool. And then nobody ever said anything. John Dornbush and Mitchell Saltzman, who was on the show last week, They were really nice about it. But yeah,
They're both really nice boys.
they're really nice boys.
You're all nice
So,
boys.
Quick question. Do we want to wrap and save our Nobody Saves the World discussion for next week? Or do we want to continue in there? I don't know if anybody else...
We
I
should
know that Josh has
probably
been playing
wrap.
a little bit.
We should wrap. I may start playing that before Pokemon because I have like 5 days until that comes out. And if that game's on Game Pass and I don't have to pay for it.
Yep.
And I'm done. Although, you know what I have been playing? And that still rips ass?
What?
Mario Kart Double Dash. That game rules.
I mean, yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
the
does.
best Mario Kart game. Come
Yeah.
on.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
Tell
That game's real good.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on Dolphin 4K.
Hey, Chris. As I said before, it's on GameCube. It has to be.
It
good.
has to be good, right? It's not because it's nostalgic in my childhood.
It's not true, but it is for a lot of games.
Shut up, Eternal
is-
Darkness. I don't want to hear it over there.
One of the best games ever made. Get out of here.
It is truly the best Mario Kart, though. You can take that to
It
the
is.
bank and cash it. It is correct.
It is good.
I actually had the thought. One thing I want to do before I die is have like
Not really dark.
no, like seriously, like I want to get 3 CRTs, and then I want to get 3 GameCubes, and I want to get NetPlay going for Double Dash, and get 12 I don't know 12 people that would do this is the problem. And like
I would do it. I'm only
Just
one person, but I'm
do
only one do
a
it.
12-person
would-
Mario Kart Double Dash game.
I
Would
would
do
also
this.
do it,
Yeah.
and I think Audrey would also do it if you did it while we were up there visiting.
We might
my
be the
God.
only people who had done that in, I don't know,
A decade.
Oh, a decade or two. Did anyone ever actually do it?
I saw one
That's a-
picture of
that's
it
a
on
good
Reddit
question.
once, and I was like,
Yeah.
God, that looks so fun.
Been wanting to get all you guys together in one place, and if we did that for a double dash thing, that would be pretty.
Here's the thing, is that we outnumber them right now in terms of location because you two are in New York and I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah,
So like
you're coming to the northeast.
you're coming to the Northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in
Get your
California,
parka.
so.
I mean, I want to travel. I'm just trying to. I'm
I
just trying to
do.
do it safe, you know.
Yeah, you don't come to New York for the food or the culture. You come for Mario Kart Double.
You come
Dash.
for
Yeah,
the double
exactly.
dash.
The
It's the
dash.
only place in the world you can play Double Dash. Everybody knows that.
I don't have it
I-
anywhere else.
I really want some more pizza. Some more New York pizza. I miss it.
It's quite
It
good.
is.
So difficult. It's so difficult to find good pizza down here, you guys. It's
Right,
so
you get
difficult.
spoiled. I have become that New York pizza snob. Like,
Yeah.
Where in New York are you, Will?
I am just outside the city in Westchester.
Oh, MG.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
All
I'm
right,
about 2
everybody.
hours away.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad a drive?
No.
Just went to the Wawa, got myself a
Yeah,
breakfast
he got a
sandwich.
breakfast burrito. It was great.
It was my first time going to the Wawa. I loved it.
The Wawa.
What is that?
You
Not what you
gotta.
said?
It's just Wawa. They don't call it the Wawa. There's no the on the sign.
I'm from California. We call everything the, and then
No,
whatever
no,
it
we
is.
don't.
Ignore him.
I'm gonna hop on the
Chris,
5.
you gotta come to New. You gotta
take a
come to
5
New
to
York
the
again.
10.
I
So
gotta
I
get
can
my
give you
D.
that Louvre
I gotta get my
DS
DS
thing
cartridge.
that I refuse to put in the mail. I just refuse. I don't know why.
It's fine.
Did Joel lose it? Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and sign off. Thank you everybody for joining us for episode 216 of the Platformers. If you got thoughts or topic ideas or anything like that, feel free to submit them to us if you're watching us live via Twitch chat. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/platformerspod. We've had a couple of people suggest topics for discussion while they were watching the show on Twitch, and we've done that. Like we did a spoiler cast for Hawkeye and Halo Infinite and a couple of other things. Some of those were suggested by Twitch chat. You can also hit us up on social media. The podcast altogether is at PlatformersPod on Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ribnax, RIBNAX. Right now, I am working on stuff over at IGN. I'm going to be working on whenever it eventually comes out. It's gold, so it's not going to get delayed. When you're looking at Elden Ring stuff, I'm going to be writing some of the guide for that. And I'm also doing some tech rewrites and stuff. So like if you're looking for best liquid coolers, these sorts of things, I'm working on those. And then I promote stuff about GTA Online and Red Dead Online. So if you like that, you'll see my work over at IGN.com. Chris, where can people find you?
You skip Josh? You can find me at Shrives93. I cover the weekend things at IGN and make pictures without my face on them. And that's about it. Yeah, I've been playing a lot. If you have an old game that you are very passionate about and you think I've never played it, you're probably wrong. I probably have, but you should tell me what it is on Twitter, and then I'll play it because I have a big old gaming PC that does that now.
Josh.
Cool. You can find me on Twitter at the Jawa Josh. I don't tweet that much anymore, but if you want to see the cool video essay stuff I'm working on, you can go to youtube.com/mediaismythic. The Star Wars According to Joseph Campbell video should be out this week. It's like right on the edge of being finished.
Ooh.
Nice. Will, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ByWillBurger. I may or may not have something very cool coming to IGN very soon about the last days of the 360 Halo games before the servers were turned off, so that would be neat. I'll let you know. Anyway, You can find me there.
Becky, where can people find you?
Oh, I am on Twitter at Rebecca June Lane, and it is a mix of trophy hunting and anti-imperialism, so you get both. It's a package deal.
You love to see it.
Would love to see some more gamer friends too. I need more of that on my timeline, so reach out.
Nice. Awesome. Well, please review us on your podcast platform of choice, and if you like the show, please share it with friends. We don't advertise, so word of mouth is the only way we have to grow. From everyone here at the Platformers, we hope that you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Bye.
Peace.